When I was growing up in my family, the biggest stressor, if that's a word, was money.
Oh, yes.
All the time. The biggest arguments between my mom and dad were about money, about my father's job, about investments, about, what we can afford and what we couldn't afford, what the kids could have, what the kids couldn't have. And sometimes we had money and sometimes we didn't. My father was in the military when I was a little kid, and so after that he was a salesman. My father was a sales rep, much like what you guys are doing, but he was selling plastic parts to air conditioning units and other, plastic molded parts for airplane seats and, all kinds of crazy stuff. So he traveled all over New England, and he went from job to job to job. He worked for Owens Corning Fiberglass, another company called Premix, and with every company there was a promotion, and the company would go under. A couple of them went Chapter 11 or something. So it was this constant battle in our house about money. And it created such stress in our lives. And I didn't know. My parents tried to protect us from that for the most part growing up because they wanted us to have these great little lives. They didn't want us to freak out about those types of things. I mean, there was always plenty of Christmas gifts under the tree. Sometimes they paid cash and sometimes they put it on credit cards. But the one thing I want to say that's, I think, most important is the fact that both my parents have cancer now. And my mother's going through chemo. She's been through 4 treatments. My father had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and was treated and is in remission. But yesterday he had a tumor taken out of his stomach. And they don't know if it's benign or malignant or what, but they have to test it. So the only thing that my parents want right now is health. That's what they want now. And they might, I don't know what the prognosis is. My dad's been in remission for a while. My mother's got stage 4 lung cancer, and, the prognosis is not great. But, all those years of stressing about money didn't prevent them from going through what they're going through right now. So this whole weekend is about how to build your business, how to make more money so you can get more stuff. And you can have a nicer house and a better car. And when I came into this, when I discovered fitness initially, I was a 98-pound weakling and got kicked in the face, just at random for no apparent reason. Hey, you look like a guy whose face I need to kick. No, I was the kid that got beat up at the bus stop. I was a C- student. I had a speech impediment growing up, and I was pretty insecure. And I was nobody special in high school. Ann can verify that. We went to high school together. By the way, Ann won $1,000 last month. About a year ago, I forced Ann. I said, Ann, we were skiing together. I said, Ann, you have to do Power 90. Oh, I don't know, I'm 50. I don't think you're going to do it. I'm going to punch you in the face. That's basically. So she felt very threatened by that. And she did it, and she struggled. And your life is completely different, as are so many people in this room. So it's about pushing play, it's about bringing it, it's about being committed, it's about the willpower, it's about, choosing the right things over the wrong things. Because you can make all the money in the world, but if you're stressing out about the wrong things, I don't know, I can't guarantee longevity, I can't guarantee perfect health. But I know that when I took a weightlifting class in college in 78. It changed my life forever. I was the insecure kid that wasn't good at basketball, wasn't a very good tennis player, was on the football team, but during warm-ups I tried to get as dirty as I could because, when they took the team picture after, everybody else was covered in blood, sweat, and tears, and I had the perfectly pristine white uniform. It was more of a mascot, really, than a football player. But I didn't have any good mentors. I didn't have any good training. My father was a guy who, when growing up, was the captain of his football, baseball, and basketball team. And his father drove him. And when he was involved in exercise and fitness, it was about winning and losing. You win, you're a hero. You lose, you're a loser. And so back in those days, it wasn't about exercise for the sake of being healthy and fit. There were people who exercised because they were on a team, and they were trying to score points and be heroes and get their picture in the paper, and there was everybody else that went to gym class and hated it, right? I mean, you know, there it is, the president's physical fitness test, right? The whole class is lined up, and it's time to do dips. And I'm going, I don't know, I was 12, 13. What's a dip? Well, you get on this parallel bar and you do dips, and then the coach has got a stat board and he counts how many you do in front of everybody. So I got up there, you know, well, I don't want to write 0, 1, you know. That's when fitness was humiliating, you know, it was just awful. So I discovered weightlifting, and I got an A. Probably the only one I got in college, actually. But what that weightlifting class did for me is it gave me confidence. When I was finished with that class, I felt good afterward. And at that point, I didn't really know much about exercise physiology. I didn't really understand the effects of physical movement on the brain, on emotions, on cognition, on productivity, on all kinds of things. I just knew then that before that that semester of weightlifting, I was skinny and scrawny. At the end, I had some of these things. I had some of that stuff. That's 50, by the way. I don't know. Half a century old right inside there. The cameras, yeah, great. Okay. I don't know if I like the lighting, personally. Can we raise those lights a little? But, you know, as I made my way into fitness, you know, as my business grew, I learned more about different things. You know, initially it was just going to the gym and lifting weights, and then getting on the stationary bike for 45 minutes. And that was it. You did cardio and you lifted weights, and that was all. Then I met some really interesting people that showed me some really cool things. You know, Pilates and yoga and plyometrics and circuit training and all the other things that are in P90X. You know, and even when we developed P90X, there were more things I didn't know and I wanted to know. I wanted to make sure we had it all in there. You know, I wanted to make sure there was enough variety in the program so people could avoid the 3 things that cause most people to stop exercising: injuries, boredom, and plateaus. Right? It's like, how many times can you do the same thing over and over and over again? I mean, if you go run the same 3-mile run, regardless of how much you sweat or how high your heart rate is, by about the 6th to 8th time, your body's got it figured out. And it stops seeing the results that it would be. So, you know, I've been running like crazy. Well, you're going to have to run further or faster. And do some push-ups every 100 yards or something along the way. You know, so that's the really cool thing, you know, as I was progressing through my fitness education. I mean, I learned these things on my own. And also, you know, having been a kid that wasn't good at sports, that got the sand kicked in his face, that always felt lesser than, always felt like I was on the loser team, you know. I wanted to create a system or a concept of exercise that I could do consistently, because I wanted to see improvement over time. And, I mean, you know, Power 90 is perfect as an example. Obviously, that's kind of a beginner's program to P90X. And then, of course, Master Series and everything else. So the really cool thing about Beachbody is they have forced me to become a better trainer, purely because they say, we want to give you some money to make some stuff. Go. Oh, okay, I got bills to pay. I got to come up with this stuff. So I get on the phone, I get on emails, I open up, you know, books, and I learn different and better ways to do a variety of different things. And P90X is, you know, it's a freak show. I mean, there's no way on earth that a 6-day-a-week, excuse my French, ass-kicking and eating healthy food should be the #1 infomercial for 13 months in a row. That's true. You know, I mean, it's... And there's one simple reason for it. You people are crazy. That's what is the... There's an ab chair you can do this in for 3 minutes, 3 times a week. And you can look just like those models they hired to be in the thing, right? So how lucky are we that we're all part of a company that sells the truth? It sells the truth. It sells an authentic, real, fun way to get in shape. It's not just my stuff. I mean, Shalene's stuff and Sean T's stuff and Debbie's stuff. There's something for everybody.